Hey guys, welcome to ArtosisCasts and welcome to the PSL. This is the Premier Star League. This is a brand new league out in Korea where it is all played live, broadcasted live, and I have gotten them to agree to allow me to do some English broadcasts for it. So very, very excited about that. This is the very first episode. And there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it. So forgive me for any little technical difficulties and everything. This will be a work in progress. I think that some of the hardest things to do, for instance, is balancing things like sound. So that's something that I will certainly work on going forward. Of course, leave your feedback in the comments. And if you do enjoy, please make sure to go ahead and like the video and give a big thanks to the PSL, to Nalra, to KCM for allowing me to do these casts. Now, to talk a little bit about the Premier Star League, right? This is a very different format tournament, and this is something that I think is meant to complement the SSL, formerly known as the ASL. This has a kind of a better prize pool structure, and it's a little bit more open. It's going to showcase a wider variety of players than the two seasons of ASL, or now SSL, that we have each year. Now, taking a look, this is just a little overview. I know it's all in Korean here, but it's basically the Premier Star League. And what there's going to be is 3 different rounds. These rounds start in the round of 8. Of course, everyone goes to a PC cafe for the qualifiers, and they play up into that round of 8 to qualify. And then the round of 8 onwards is televised. Now, after 3 rounds, there will be a season finals as well. And basically, the top 2 players from each round get seeded into the next round of 8 as long as they can make it. One thing to note is that there are a lot of play days for this tournament. So there are going to probably be circumstances where someone might get top 2, but have some other obligations or whatever, or, just can't make it to the next round. But anyways, this is the very, very beginning. This is episode number 1. This is round number 1. This is going to be the round of 8 here today. And we have some great players qualified already that you may have seen on that loading screen right at the beginning. But first, let's talk about the prize pool. So we're going to see that there is a great prize pool here, the season total. And it's going to be 3 million won for first place, 1 million for second, 400,000 for third, fourth place with 200,000, and fifth through eighth with 100,000. Now, I know that might sound big if you don't know Korean money. You can kind of think of it like dollars, like $3,000, $1,000, 400, 200, 100. That's not the exact exchange rate, but honestly, the way that Korean won is spent in Korea, it actually feels basically like that. And it's close enough. Obviously the whole world's currencies are always fluctuating, so you get different numbers. But yeah, it is pretty good prize pool wise, which I think is going to be really, really nice for a lot of, the up and coming types of players, right? And we are going to have some like ASL championship level players in here, as well as some players that have never been in an ASL before, which I think is... this is one of the more important things to do in the scene. I know that SSL is very exciting, and, I love doing the CNSL, which I will be doing as well coming up for the players that don't qualify. But this is another live event, which I think is really, really fantastic. Now, let's take a look. This is our bracket for today. So the first match, Saloon Jihoon, that is ZeloT. He is the most aggressive Zerg pro gamer out there. He's going to be going up against Kim Youngjin, who goes by Youngju. You don't know him, probably. I've played him a few times on ladder and stuff. He's obviously a very highly ranked Terran player, but I don't know if I've ever casted his games before. I can't recall if I have. Our second match, Kim Ji-sung, that is Royal, and he is going up against Kim So-ha, who is Hakime, which I have played on ladder as well, but I don't think I've casted his games either. Of course, there is a possibility that he was one of these unknown Protosses that I've casted occasionally on the channel. Over in the third place match, we have Yoon Min-gu versus Kim Byung-soo, and that is Gao, and that's actually the one player I really don't know at all. I've probably played against him, but I definitely have never casted him. And Kim Byung-soo is Art User, who You know, an old Samsung Con pro gamer Zerg, if I recall correctly, a very good friend of Sharp's. I don't think he's actually been in ASL yet, but he's always near the top of the ladder. Very, very strong Zerg pro gamer. And then our fourth match, the one that I'm by far the most excited about, Yoon Sung-gon, which is Scan against excuse me, against Snow, basically. Okay, so that's basically huge, right? That's a Scan versus Snow rematch is amazing. Now here is your map pool. This is going to be Neo Dark Origin to open up. Well, not to open up. This is not the order. Sorry. And then we have Radeon. We have Vermeer 2.1. I think they're saying Season 11, so you know where to find in the map folder, because there's like several versions of Vermeer that have been used professionally. And then we have Apocalypse 1.4 and Polypoid 1.75. So this is a really great map pool. You cannot really deny that. Nothing too crazy. Polypoid, Vermeer, and Radeon are three of the best 4-player maps ever made at this point. Polypoid is still being used really heavily. Radeon is being used still. Vermeer did leave the ladder season this season, so that has gone away. Excuse me, but a very good map pool. Now, looking at the bans from the players, Neo Dark Origin and Polypoid will not be played. Set 1 is going to be on Apocalypse. Then we're going to go to Radeon, and then we're going to go to Vermeer. So yeah, that is a very solid map pool, a very solid set of maps here for our very first match, which again will be Youngjin going up against ZeloT. So a Terran versus Zerg to open. And the thing is, I'm not even really looking at the map so much. ZeloT is just a much more experienced pro than Youngjin. Who's, well, actually, you would consider him an amateur, right? Like, ZeloT definitely has pro status. If you make it into ASL, you're basically a pro, or if you were ever on one of these pro teams before, right? That's actually the way that it's done. In fact, it's just one step below that. If you make top 2 in ACS, I believe that's where they cut it off, and they're like, okay, now you're like actually a pro gamer nowadays, right? And most of those players do end up making into ASL or SSL now, but not all the way. So anyways, guys, I hope that you are half as excited as me about these PSL broadcasts. And again, I do want to mention that this is all a work in progress. I've been working very heavily trying to get these first episodes as good as possible. I actually don't know yet the exact format that I'm going to be releasing everything in. I'm going to try to tailor this to the people who are watching here, of course, on ArtosisCasts on YouTube. So if you think like the video's too big, too short, anything like that, please, again, do leave some comments, and I will take things into consideration. At the end of the day, I'll just kind of do what I think is right because, yeah, that's the only way to really live. But I am going to try to make this as good content as is really possible. So yeah, a big thanks again to the PSL, and specifically a big thanks to Nalra, and because he's the guy who I kind of spoke to, and of course Caster Muse for helping out with those connections as well. So yeah, this is going to be fantastic. And let's take a look at the players. All right, so here you see ZeloT. This is a guy that I've casted countless times. I would say that he is probably a top 5-ish draw on the ArtosisCasts YouTube channel. People love ZeloT games. He is the most aggressive player. I always like to say this is what happens when you get a ladder Zerg that gets to pro level. Very aggressive, very cheesy. He's probably the best Guardian rusher in the whole world. And he's been in ASL multiple times. Doesn't make it in every single season, but it's starting to kind of be an upset when he doesn't, because he really is such a strong player. Definitely the favorite here. He is going up against Youngjin, which, again, I think no one really knows unless you're like a very high-level player and you've played against him. He has been, you know, he's tried out for things like ASL countless times, but, you know, he made it through these qualifiers, which, by the way, the qualifiers, of course, are open at a PC cafe in the southern part of Seoul. Excuse me. And like a lot of pros go and play, not every single pro. So you shouldn't look at this and say, oh my gosh, he must have beaten like Light to get there. I'm not sure. I can't find the exact list of every single pro who ended up playing in the qualifiers, but you can see that players like Royal, like Snow, like ZeloT are in this very first round. So definitely a lot of the world's top players are playing, but I guarantee you not every single one of them. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And I think we are just about ready now to get into this first game. ZeloT versus Youngjin going on Apocalypse. Let's get it going. Excuse me, just a little bit of remnants of a cold left. And here we go. Up at 12 o'clock, we have none other than Youngjin. And on that bottom right side, we have ZeloT. Okay. So starting our very first game. It's been a few minutes of the intro to the tournament. Hope that you are still here, still anxiously awaiting. Well, maybe you just jumped ahead of everything and you don't know the exact format. Well, you'll have to go back because I'm not repeating it again. So, yeah, ZeloT versus Youngjin. One of the things I do want to mention is this as a wide open choke. We should be seeing a wall in from Youngjin, because otherwise, like, speed Zerglings become very, very strong here. So I'd be pretty surprised if he doesn't go for something like that. ZeloT, I would imagine, would go hatchery first. When you know your opponent's going to wall, most likely, it's either like, well, I mean, you could 4-pool. Pool first in general is going to be very weak against that, so you do want to avoid that. And you can see Youngjin going ahead, throwing down that depot. So he is going to have that wall in over at the front. Now, ZeloT saving up his minerals a bit. I don't think it's going to be overpool. We'll see in just a second here. Yeah, and that looks like it's going to be a hatchery first for sure. And a second SCV coming out. Ooh, what are we looking at here? That's definitely not to scout an Overlord. Is he just going to hide a barracks over on the side? That's kind of weird. No, just hides it for a moment. Okay. Barracks at the natural choke point. And this hidden SCV, like, you wouldn't sit it there. Like, he's not getting a gas yet. It's out there very, very early. And there you go. It just, if you look at the minimap, there it is. Youngjin's starting a second barracks. So a very sneaky play here. Excuse me. And ZeloT is going... Oh, and ZeloT actually did go pool first. Oh my gosh. It looks like it was actually a 12 pool plus gas. We were looking away and I was kind of staring at the minimap, seeing if he was going to build something with that SCV. But yeah, it does look like, in fact, he is going for like a 12 pools type of play. But this is not something like a BBS. This is a very sneaky move by Youngjin. If he can deny scouting of whether or not he has a command center, this is something that can just kill you. Okay? Like, ZeloT will have to take any move outs incredibly seriously when this moves, because what will happen is he will see Marines moving from the first barracks and he won't likely see them moving from the second barracks. Now, here comes the Overlord. Can we get the vision of that maybe? He definitely was not in command center range from that. He turns around. So this is exactly what Youngjin needed. Like, if you just sacrifice the Overlord as ZeloT, you probably win the game. But the thing is, if you sacrifice it and he has a command center, you probably are really well behind, and that's going to be most of the time, right? And look, he's trying to... Excuse me. He's trying once again to figure out what's going on here. Few Zerglings out. And... look at this. Notice how he's standing out in the front with his Marines a little bit here. Oh, man. And he just kind of moved them to the front where the Overlord doesn't see their movement. That's a big part of this. And he has one Marine actually still standing duty to keep the Overlord back. And now these have grouped up. ZeloT really doesn't know what's happening right now. This is a very, very, very sneaky cheese that we see going on. Okay, SCV's being drilled out. Now he's going to know that something is up. One sunken is going to be on the way. I mean, you see that many SCVs coming, you might want to make another one immediately. And suddenly 4 Marines show up, and he just does not have very much. ZeloT in a lot of trouble here. Brings up 4 Zerglings total. 2 of them were still chasing that one in the main. Oh, no. Absolutely not going to work out. These Marines going to pick off everything. And yeah, sorry for any coughs, guys. I do have a little bit of a cold right now. But this game is definitely going to go to Youngjin. So a very, very aggressive, sneaky, cheesy opening. Surrounds those eggs even, so the Zerglings really don't have any sort of chance. And yeah, that is going to be pretty painful. nothing left here, really, for ZeloT. He's going to have to GG and go on to game number 2. Luckily, this is a best of 3, so he's definitely not out yet. But Youngjin with a superior cheese here, I guess you could call it. Definitely an all-in play. Doesn't even have a gas at home and will end up killing every single drone. A GG comes out from ZeloT, and that is going to be set 1 going to Youngjin. So, Youngjin, you can see, pretty happy about that. Got a little bit of a smirk on his face. He knows what he did. He knows what he did. You're gonna, you know, taking a look over at ZeloT. Yeah, he's pretty stone-faced there. He's looking at that and saying, okay. Yeah, you see that little brow furrow that he had? Guys, people will type GG, but it doesn't mean that they mean it. Okay, so that was our game number 1. We will be getting into game number 2 pretty quickly here. I believe it was on Radeon, I want to say? Was game number 2? We'll see in a moment here. But yeah, I believe it was Vermeer and Neo Dark Origin that were vetoed. Anyways, that was a pretty big win there for Youngjin. A good way to open up the PSL. You should be pretty happy with that situation. Being able to take a victory off of a player the caliber of ZeloT. But, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Been fighting this cold for about a week. But, yeah, that's like... ZeloT, I think, still definitely can come back here. But don't forget that he's a little bit of a volatile Zerg because he does play a very aggressive style. So, like, if you have a really solid defense against one of his kind of all-in-ish type builds... then you might be able to just pick it up as Youngjin. Maybe he plays 2 very defensive games from here. Who knows? Maybe he goes ahead and does like BBS in the center to try to just get a very quick victory. Not entirely sure. So we'll be seeing that. The players are getting ready. We're getting that second map loaded up, and hopefully we can get into it pretty quickly here. But guys, hope that you're enjoying the PSL, the Premier Star League. You know, and this is something where there's a ton of games. I am going to be casting them, well, I guess for season 1 at least, everything, and seeing if people like it. And again, do let me know down in the comments if you are excited about this type of content on the channel. So we see both players getting ready. It's like kind of drying hands maybe right now for ZeloT. Checking his phone. Type into his friend, LOL, I can't believe that just happened to me. Hopefully he's not watching TikToks, but an aggressive Zerg would be the type. And yeah, anyways, you know, I gotta say, this gets me really excited that we have this going on right now, I gotta say. And it's time to get into our next game. Down here in the bottom right of Radeon, we have ZeloT. And in the bottom left, we have Youngjin. All right. So, what is this going to end up looking like? Excuse me. This is a 4-player map. You know, Radeon, I think, is a pretty solid map overall. Pretty well balanced in the matchups. I have heard a lot of people say that they actually find it hard for Terran in both matchups, but I actually feel like it's pretty good. It's pretty okay. Pretty standard. As far as ZeloT goes, I would say positionally, this is pretty good for him. The back of the mineral patches are up against the cliff, and it's a direct rally from ZeloT. So if he goes Mutalisk heavy, his harassment's going to be very, very hard to stop. You're going to have to make a lot of missile turrets, and even then, it's likely that you'll end up losing all of your SCVs. Another wall gets started here from Youngjin. And over for ZeloT, we're going to see if this is going to be another 12 pool, or is it going to just be hatch first? It does look like it'll be hatch first as the drone starts going down the ramp. And there it is. So guys, I hope that you are you're enjoying, and thank you for tuning in to ArtosisCasts just so regularly. This is really kind of my This YouTube channel is my passion project. This is where I want to kind of like, this is the thing I want to have going on forever, for sure. You know, like I will certainly, you know, maybe as I get older, my wrists will die out eventually. I don't think so. I take pretty good care of that, but you never know. Maybe something like that occurs, but I can always still cast at least, right? So thank you everyone who has subscribed and watches these videos regularly. Please do make sure that you subscribe, like the video, leave a little comment, and of course, leave some love for the PSL, for Nalra, for KCM. They are, Nalra and KCM, by the way, are the two Korean casters for this league. Nalra, an old friend of mine. And yeah, let them know that they are fantastic for allowing some English broadcasts of this to occur. And yeah, I hope that this tournament just keeps on going, right? Like I feel like there's a void since KSL was canceled. So it's really nice to see another Star League pop up. And I just love seeing the players go somewhere live to play. It just makes such a difference. Now we see Youngjin taking his natural expansion here off of a single Marine. He's got this wall in that does have 2 holes in it, but it's still a pretty good wall in. I like that wall personally on this position. And he gets a very, very fast gas. So likely going to be a +1 rush out of Youngjin. ZeloT, in the meantime, just chasing the SCV around a little bit. We'll see if he's able to actually pick that off. Or if that's going to be something that stays alive for a long time. If you can keep it alive beyond when the Senkin Overlord pops and then the next eggs come out. Because, see, that's the Senkin Overlord. Now, these eggs, if it were to be a Speedling all-in, these are the eggs that would have Speedlings in them. So if you can keep your SCV alive till those eggs hatch, that's like what you were looking for, right? You know, every matchup has stuff like that, especially PVZ and ZVT, but even more so Protoss vs. Zerg, where you're looking to see if there's like some sort of crazy, you know, Hydralisk bust coming or something. You want to keep the probe alive a certain amount of time. This was actually very good. And in fact, he went down the ramp and saw ZeloT making a sunken. And so as soon as you see that sunken, you know that it would be completely illogical to make any Zerglings with that, which of course could make it into a mind game, but it would be an absolutely terrible build, right? Like if you're going to make Speedlings, you don't need a sunken. If you make a sunken, it's because you want to make nothing but drones. Now, a drone just left the base, and it is going up to take another hatchery at another natural. That engineering bay is on the way for Youngjin, and it does look, in fact, like he wants to go into that +1 and probably a 4-racks build. Another barracks being started. Of course, stim on the way, a comstat, only one. A lot of people go just one comstat right now. Very, very popular stuff. You know, when you make a comstat, that's 2 less SCVs that you're going to be able to make during that same amount of build time. So making just one comstat and making the other one later on can make a lot of sense, economically speaking. But they have 2 hatcheries, so you never know. We have seen some people play a mind game where they count on you having only 1 scan and then use the tech that's at the other hatchery. So that scan is finishing. 4 barracks are going up. The +1's still on the way. He's going to get that range upgrade quickly here as well. And right now, ZeloT really focusing on Mutalisk production. Has that hatchery at the other natural. So looking at ZeloT's point of view here, he is going to be putting on a lot of pressure, especially with the 3 gas. Now, I would not be too surprised if he goes for a Guardian Rush. I mean, it's too early to tell right now for us, but that is one of ZeloT's best builds. He's like the best Guardian Rusher in the whole world. Like, he goes to the top of the ladder off Guardian Rushes all the time. So we'll see. Now, he comes in for a little bit of harassment here with these Mutalisks. And the Mutalisk's going to get in and actually do some pretty reasonable damage. He doesn't have that many in this flock right now, but he's picking off quite a few Marines. He's picking off actually a really fair amount of SCVs as well. Youngjin having a little bit of a hard time blocking this. And now he's got 7, which is the number that one-shots an SCV, right? So instead of 2 swipes now, every swipe he takes, every shot he takes is going to kill an SCV. So you can kill, I guess, in theory, twice as many SCVs, right? Guess it has to do with the glade bounces a little bit. Gets some swipes in there, kills off quite a few Marines plus SCVs. And the thing is, Youngju's on a +1 build. Like, he's actually going to have to move out very, very soon, or ZeloT's going to run away with this game. If you go for a +1 build, your factory is going to be a lot later. Like, the factory should be starting by about now, and Youngju can't really afford it. So if you can't really afford it, you have to be out in the map kind of counter-pressuring and making sure that his tech isn't too fast either. But Youngju doesn't have that many Marines, as you can see, right? This is like 8 Marines right there. 3 more coming up to join. But realistically, he's got +1 done. It looks like he just started +1 armor, which is fine. But you really need to get out there. And ZeloT just rotating in. Going to bust up a couple of these missile turrets very, very quickly. And yeah, he's killing off a lot of these turrets. You see those not the most emotive faces right now from our 2 players. But yeah, ZeloT is definitely getting a lot of value at the moment. Now, this SCV sees where ZeloT's expansion is, so that's pretty big. ZeloT continues to get these picks. I feel like Youngju is like playing too defensively. Realistically, if you just move out with how much he's had, ZeloT has to pull back with the Mutalisks. And that's just not something that we've seen. He's finally just now moving out, but he's lost a lot of SCVs, missile turrets, Marines, medics. And look at this. That factory is about 1 minute and 10 seconds later than the latest you ever really want to have it. And he hasn't counter-pressured till right now. So ZeloT is basically exactly where ZeloT wants to be. There's been nothing that he's really had to react to as of yet until this very first move out, which is, again, happening very, very late. So Youngju pushing back these Mutalisks. Hydralisk Den there at the top right. And, well, you know, he's doing a very good job of staying right on the edge of the Marine medic. Youngju, ooh, getting a little bit ahead of his own medics there. Losing quite a few of the Marines. Loses one of those overlords, unfortunately. And look at this. Oh, see, it is the Guardian Rush. So a very, very fast Greater Spire here. And look at this. Comes in with all the Mutalisks, destroys everything. ZeloT really is next level at this type of strategy. You can see he has just picked Youngju apart nonstop. And gets on top of all the Marines. He might be able to just end it with Mutalisks, despite the fact that he is going into that Guardian tech. And, like, these starports are so late. You either have to go Wraith, or you have to go Valkyrie to counter the Guardians, and he is so far away from having any decent number of those, with the starports not even finished yet. Single Marine up at that top right, maybe looking to see if it could pick off some drones, but no, there is some defense already. Muta's coming in for some more swipes. ZeloT just crushing his opponent at the moment. And I don't think that there is very much left over here. Yeah, not too much left over for Youngju to do. Man, I mean, the amount of damage he's taking. Look at this supply right now. 52 against 85. A lot of Guardians on the way. And, well, I mean, as soon as he sees the Guardians, he's just going to GG, because there's just no way for him to close that ground and actually end up killing any of them. Especially, I mean, the Mutas alone can kind of kill. And in fact, he just GGs. And that is going to be it for game number 2. All right, so tied up 1-1 right now. ZeloT there, breathing a sigh of relief, completely destroying Youngju when he doesn't have Marines in his base before he has any units. Youngju looking a little bit unhappy there. That was a tough one. Yeah, definitely got completely destroyed in that game. All right. Well, that is our first 2 games tied up 1-1 right now. We're going to be going into game number 3 to decide this. And, well, I guess we'll just see if Youngju's going to be able to cheese. I think he's going to try again because, like, he got a good opener there. He went up against what he thought he was going to go up against and just got completely massacred. Like, even the first mutas coming out, he wasn't really ready for it. Like the missile turret at his barracks wasn't completely up, wasn't completely ready to just kind of deflect the mutalisks at all. And when that's the case, like ZeloT is not going to lose to anyone in the world, I think, right? Like he is someone that can absolutely beat every single Terran, whether it's JYJ, Light, Flash, doesn't really matter. Excuse me, if they don't have that really good defense. So anyways, we'll be going into that third map, and I believe, no, Polypoi got vetoed, I remember now, because I was kind of surprised about that one, because it's such a standard map. But yeah, I believe we're going into Vermeer next, which actually is not too bad a choice for a Zerg player. You know, there's a lot of gas expansion, so sometimes you can just kind of take a random base, and it's really hard for Terran to find, you know, limited scans and all that. Maybe you can slip a Firebat out or an SCV out, but can be a little bit difficult. You see ZeloT waiting here to finalize his revenge here against Youngjin in game number 3. And we have Youngjin cracking his knuckles, getting ready. I do think it's going to be time for a little bit of cheese here. And let's get into set 3. In the top right of Vermeer, we have ZeloT. And in the bottom left, we have Youngjin. All right. Youngjin versus ZeloT, game number 3. Honestly, both of the games have been really, really one-sided. ZeloT definitely showing a bit more skill thus far. We're on a pretty comfortable map, though, right? Very big, very spacious. They're really far away from each other, which would make any sort of harassment like we saw in the previous game not nearly as strong from ZeloT. And we're going to have to see if Youngjin has some cheese planned. Well, that's a very quick SCV to the center of the map. Not too surprised about that, gotta say. So is center barracks for sure. So one center barracks. What this will turn out to be, because there's only one SCV out there, is a factory rush as well. So it could be any manner of things, right? So it's a 4 to 8 racks into a factory. Like, that's always what this is. If you see 1 8 racks in the center, if the 8 racks is kind of close to the main base, you can reinforce yourself with Marines. If it's in the center, it's so that you can pressure while you slip up a factory. And then you're going to utilize the vultures as not just an anti-ling defense, but probably another stage of harassing your opponent. Now, sometimes I'll go into a wraith, sometimes I'll go into a drop, but generally it is something aggressive. Now, the drone is coming right out to the center, and it's a pool first. So, excuse me, right now for ZeloT, he has to be feeling perfect. This looks like a terrible situation for Youngjin. He gets that gas right on time and everything, though, too. And, yeah, I mean, right now, the game looks very good for ZeloT, but since he doesn't have that second hatchery, it's just something to think about is that his actual production is not going to be that high, right? No pressure can be had with the 8 racks. And he is making some Marines. Like, generally, you'll make, like, 3 Marines with this, maybe 4 if you want to cut an SCV and send those home, because you can't really buy the secondary depot because you need to afford a factory. He is going to buy the secondary depot, which means the factory is going to be a bit delayed here. This factory probably won't start till at least 3 minutes unless he's really cutting. Yeah, he might actually just cut an SCV completely here to get that before 3 minutes. Now, a couple SCVs coming to this ramp. Yeah, notice he stopped his SCV production completely. You can see his bank kind of going up a little bit there. And he does get that started just before 3 minutes. So, all right, pretty good defense, actually. Oh, no! Oh, my God. The Lings get in on top of the Marines. He was being a little bit greedy there. He left, like, the door open for that Marine to run in, and if he had closed it perfectly with only 1 Ling coming up, he would have been fine. But now you look at this situation, and it's very bad. Now, the Zerglings actually have a fair amount of damage on them, So, like, he might actually still kind of be okay-ish, but he's losing a ton of mining time, of course. And there's so much scouting going on. Look at that. He's barely mining with anything. That SCV will end up falling, which is no big surprise. Another SCV falls. Oh, man. Another one falls. More links coming. Yeah, dude, if I was Youngjin, I would just GG. This is so bad. Yeah, I think he might, actually. That's too many SCVs to lose. Oh, man. Just an absolutely brutal series here. Yeah, the fact that ZeloT, by the way, went for a center scout and a hatch or a pool first, not too surprising when you're looking at this, right? And that's going to be it. GG. And ZeloT is going to be our victor. And we'll move on to the round of 4. Very, very well done. Youngjin, you know what? He made it into this very first PSL round 1, round of 8. And that's a pretty big accomplishment. I do hope that he tries more in the future for that. But yeah, there you have it, guys. That was ZeloT versus Youngjin, the very first match of the PSL. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in. Do make sure that you go ahead and leave a comment below if you are enjoying and with any sort of feedback on it. Guys, thank you very much. And that was the first match. The second match will be coming up shortly.